As Season 2 comes to an end, so does an event of insane PvP plays. So what way is better to end the season than with you know its name? It's the game, the one, the only Battle Box. Today, we're going to look at 4 of the top performing teams with the Teal Turkeys, the Yellow Yetis, the Emerald Elves, and the Gingerbread Men. Just like eating turkey on Thanksgiving, Cyan doing well in BattleBox is a long-standing tradition. In our MCC 19 BattleBox video, we already talked about how unique Santa's Sleigh as a BattleBox map is. Separated by 2 stories, the first floor houses the wool. At its sides, a small bridge that requires some parkour, and on the top level lies another bridge to the wool. So with this video, we want to highlight the 2 levels dynamic. There are 2 ways to come in contact with the opponents: the corridors and the top. Going from the top gives a high ground advantage in bowing, but going through the corridor gives a flanking opportunity. Both ways also have downsides, with the top often being a bow battleground and the corridors risking immediate 1v1s if the enemy expects your move. With this in mind, Timmy goes up the stairs to the right, the captain goes up the water elevator, and Sneak stays in their spawn to bow. Punz, having 2 years of experience on this map, then goes for the classic move we all know and love, the Sapnap flank. By going through the corridor, he catches an opponent off guard and gets a free kill in the process. What made their strategy so good is that they often went for 1v1s, and when one solo match was won, they could help the other. This way, they could basically snowball from 1v1s to 2v1s to 3v1s to 4v1s until they overwhelm the opponent. The surprise MVP on this team was Captain Sparkles, getting a total of 10 kills, only 1 kill away from top 5 individual. This was due to the great use of his bow and damage pot. Punz wasn't far behind the captain, getting 9 kills, and Timmy and Sneeg also put up good performance, both getting at least 4 kills with their bows. Their item usage was questionable to say the least. Punz and Sneeg were obviously great with their bowing items, but Timmy only used his jump potion once, and the captain never used his axe, although he made up for it with his pot usage. However, the major weakness of this team was tunnel vision. Whenever they lost 1v1, the opponents did an Uno reverse card, and Teal were the ones getting snowballed. That's why the only 2 matches they lost were aces from incredible PvPers. This still led them to 7 wins and 28 kills, continuing the Cyan domination tradition with 2nd place overall. Like the real life Yetis that are dormant most of the year, these Yellow Yetis take their time. H goes up the stairs to the right while Sam takes the elevator to the left. False stayed back in spawn to bow, while Cub was a flex player, either staying back as well with False or going up the stairs to help H. This team was very defensive in their strategy. They constantly stood back to bow, rarely ever rushing in for the kill. This defensive strat allowed them to whittle down the opponent's health while preserving their own, so when all the opponents were low, they went in for the final blow. One player that deserves special recognition was H-Bomb. His consistent good usage of the crossbow dealt a lot of damage and got him a solid 10 kills. The others didn't do half bad either, with both False and Sam getting at least 6 kills. Their item usage in general was pretty good. H-Bomb's crossbow was a lot more consistent than his pot usage, False shot most of her arrows, Cub made good usage of his axe, and Sam got some cheeky kills with his jump potion. However, like with any defensive strategy, their weakness was their passiveness. They constantly tried to play the health game to whittle opponents down, but whenever opponents started to push early, they would have too much health for Yellow to take on. They were also very weak to flanks, nearly always losing when the opponents pulled a good flank on them. In other words, Yellow nearly always lost to aggressive teams who were PvP oriented. They still put up a good fight, getting a total 26 kills and 5 wins, placing a tied 4th overall. Despite Illumina being bi, he got a ridiculous amount of aces. Tommy and G stayed back in their spawn to bow, with Jack Manifold going up the water elevator to bow from the high ground, rushing middle if necessary. Illumina was the most flexible of the group, always going left, but either going up the elevator or down the corridor depending on what the other team did. With G, Tommy, and Jack staying back to bow, they acted as the main center of attention, which meant that Illumina could easily flank the opponents before they knew what hit them. With Illumina's insane PvP skills, this gave him room to unleash his true potential, getting 4 aces and 21 kills, a record-shattering performance. He couldn't do this without his teammates doing good damage with the bow, with a special mention for Tommy tagging a lot of people. Their item usage was okay. Illumina made good use of his crossbow, and Tommy always used his arrows well. Jack's jump potion was only occasionally useful, and G often chose her bow over her axe. The biggest strength of this team was, ironically enough, their biggest weakness too. Even though Tommy's last performance on this map was insane, his recent BattleBox performances gave him so much doubt he played really defensive. This meant Illumina was the only one actively engaging with the opponents, which means that when Illumina goes down, the passive positioning of the rest of the team made it really hard to win the round. Despite that, they won 6 out of 9 rounds, getting 3rd overall and granting Illumina a 2nd place individual. While Cyan doing well is always a BattleBox tradition, the Christmas tradition is getting a 9 out of 9, and Ginger was there to deliver. 3 of Ginger go up the left elevator, each taking a different position at the top. Impulse stays at the water elevator to bow, Becky goes around the bridge for bowing and keeping an eye on middle, and Scott jumps down to the opponent's spawn for either a kill, a good bowing position, or to pressure middle. Purple then goes right for the classic Sapnap flank, but since he knows the risk of going through the corridor, if he sees too many opponents taking the water elevator, he goes up the stairs instead to bow. The reason why this strategy was so effective was an amazing combination of map coverage and comms. This team was quite aggressive and prioritized getting a ground to stand on. This backed teams into a corner, which gave opportunities for bow shots or Purple's sword. And the reason why they didn't get picked off one by one is because of Purple's excellent comms. He was truly the MVP in this team, not just because he got an insane 18 kills, but also because of how much he played for the team. He was constantly on the lookout for flanks, immediately communicating with them whenever they happened. The rest in turn also communicated well, which led to everyone on the team getting at least 4 kills each. Their item usage was also on point. Purple's crossbow usage was great, Scott's jump potion was as annoying as ever, Becky did juice her sword more, but Impulse always got his money's worth with his arrows. The insane efficiency this team had was what brought them to a perfect 9 out of 9 BattleBox, the 5th time to ever happen in a canon event, granting all of Ginger top 5 individual. Before we go see how these teams stacked up against each other, be sure to sapnap flank over to the subscribe button and leave in the comments what we should cover next. As the round starts, Cub and False stay in their spawn to bow, but with all of Teal also shooting them, Punz takes the opportunity for the sapnap flank to quickly decimate the two. H-Bomb is too busy fighting on top, so Sam recognizes what is happening in their spawn, then tries to clean Punz, but fails to do so. So, now in a 4v2 situation, Sam tries to pressure the middle, which sadly doesn't go well. With Teal now counterpressing the middle, H does one final rush and gets a kill on Punz, who is lagging before going down. Purple goes in for his usual flank, but gets flung across the map by Cub, forcing him to run away. While Sam is stuck in a bowing battle, H chases Purple while Scott wins a 1v1 against Cub. False runs back towards Sam, which leaves H alone when Scott cleans him up. After that, Scott goes for the rush, which forces Sam to contest, which he succeeds in, but is too jittery to finish Scott off. As Impulse kills False, Becky drops down from above to finish it off. At the start of the round, Punz and Timmy start climbing the stairs to the top floor. However, Illumina takes them by surprise and manages to get Punz into a combo. This leads to not only the death of Punz, but also Timmy, since he reacts too late to Punz's warning. Despite Sneak and Sparkles pegging Illumina, their health got reduced significantly by bowfire from Tommy, G, and the initially distracted Jack Manifold. This allows Illumina with the use of crits to annihilate both Sneeg and Sparkles for an ace and win the round for the elves. Illumina tries to dupe Purpled by faking an elevator ascent, but Purpled isn't fooled, and overwhelms Illumina with the classic crossbow shot and crit chain combo. Tommy and Nijelly both fail to hit Impulse and Becky with their bows up top, causing them to flee after Scott threw a harming potion in their area. While Scott snipes Jack at a good angle, Purpled runs up the stairs and crits out both Tommy and G-Nelly, both weakened by opposing fire. This then leaves the door for Scott to use the elevator to kill Jack with one swing, which results in another sweep for Ginger. At the start of the round, G follows Illumina up the water elevator, but since Illumina is already down to 3 hearts, he has to hide. This leaves Tommy in spawn to get pelted by all of yellow. H tries to rush in, but doesn't realize 3 of Emerald are there and has to run. This allows Cub to crit out Jack and H to barely kill Illumina. Tommy tries to kill Sam, but dies instantly to Sam's damage pot. G lastly tries to clean Sam, but he just bow spams her to death. A messy sweep, but a sweep nonetheless. Punz, having learned from Illumina, goes for the flank on the left, where he meets Purpled and dies to him in a 1v1. Sparkles, who was weakened after some bow shots from Becky, also gets cleaned by Purpled. Sneegsnacks stayed at spawn to focus shooting at Scott, who was fighting Timmy up top, but didn't realize what was happening on the other side of the map, so Purple easily cleans him too. Continuing this theme of distractions, Timmy is the last to die to Purpled after desperately trying to deliver the final blow to Scott. Thus, Ginger swept Battlebox, and Purpled ended the game with a well-deserved ace.